Hi there, my name is Ruben, and welcome to a special look at Intercom. Now, Intercom has been very popular for a long time, despite some high pricing associated with it. It's a very solid product, and today I want to look at Intercom in 2020. So this is being recorded in February 2020. I want to see how the tool has evolved since I started using it a few years ago, and where it's going. So based on that, I want to talk about three things today. As I mentioned, the 2020 positioning, where it's evolving. I want to understand how Intercom fits into a stack and how it might fit into your stack, whether you're a consumer, e-commerce, B2B, some of the downsides, some of the upsides. And I also want to talk about tools in general. So tools play a very important role, but it's not the only role. So I'll share the 3 Ps and how Intercom can play a role in your stack, and it might fit into that. This is going to be a strategic look at Intercom. I'm not going to look at every little feature and report that it offers, and it's changing all the time. Instead, I want to help you understand why you would bring a tool like Intercom into your company, who is the right fit for, and how to do it, how to go about it. This is a conversation I have with clients all the time. So we're going to do it here over the next few minutes, a little bit more one-sided than typical, but nonetheless. I'm going to share my screen. I'm going to share the product, interesting tidbits, random stories. It's going to be great. Now, I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. So let's follow along and look at Intercom in 2020. Let's jump right into Intercom. So Intercom, it's a messaging platform that has changed quite a bit. They became quite popular maybe a couple years ago. I remember almost every prospect or client was asking me about it and my thoughts and how it worked and so on. So they've been very popular since. And as a tool, they do a lot, right? I think we're all very familiar now with this, the little widgets here at the bottom right. They can sort of click through and you can have a chat with someone or conversation and so on. I think Intercom had a huge part in popularizing this. And now we see other companies like Drift and maybe even some of the old chats and like chat companies like Live Chat and Olark come into place. And Intercom is really interesting because I remember at one point how confusing it was, the product. Like it seemed they had the little message in here, like actually I think follows this, like lead generation, and then you can engage them, and then you had stuff after engagement, but the product was like price in like multiple sections, and it was just weird. I remember thinking, I can't believe how popular this product is and how complex it is to just understand what they do. But it's changed. They rebranded, they simplified, and the product today, it's quite powerful, and they really made it simple to understand. So in essence, I think it has 3 elements that we can see here. You have you have a contact base, all your users, whether they are actual customers with names and emails or leads. You can send outbound messages, whether it's emails or push, or maybe an in-app. You may have an inbox where you can manage conversations, again, whether they're anonymous or not. You have articles like a knowledge base. And they brought this idea of bots like chatbots, which became popular, maybe have been less popular, but they took some of those elements and then build routines into what happens when someone starts a conversation or things like that. So you can see there's a lot of functionality here, and then some reports to summarize everything. So Intercom to me is really a great tool that does a lot on the communication side, and it's something that really can be used by everyone from sales to marketing to customer support, and have a more consistent experience with how you communicate with them. With my clients, we love to set up things that are automated. So if we can set up an onboarding sequence that's automated, maybe a win-back feature, sequence that's automated, or things to bump up retention or upsells, things like that. So Intercom allows you to do that, and you can do that through multiple channels. You can do events, you can do user properties. On events, I remember it does have some interesting limitations around how many events you can track in total and how many event properties you can track. But I remember the limitations weren't always, they were never deal killers. It's just something you had to work around. I remember at some point you had to, only like the first 5 properties would show. Everything else would get discarded. So things like that. But nothing that was okay, it's going to be hard to use the platform. So as a product, it's still very solid. It's done a lot. It's grown a lot. And I think it's something that almost every company can benefit for, just because I think a lot of communication that companies have with customers is very ad hoc, very random, and it's not systemized. I think that's the biggest thing that something like Intercom can help you do. Really systemize and make your communication very consistent across everyone, from new users to existing users. Now, this space is changing. I think there's a few players in the space that are also doing well. Iterable, Braze, Mixpanel has some communication to some level. It's not as robust or as advanced as Intercom. Customer I/O, we of course have maybe some of the older players, Olark and so on, which offer part of the functionality, and then maybe some old school email providers, Drip, MailChimp, since I think a lot of people only use email and then are taking advantage of other things. I think Intercom is well positioned in this space. They have a lot. The product is quite robust. You can see there's a lot of options. There's a lot of things you can do. It's very flexible. It's production ready. So I would consider it a very solid choice going forward and building upon it, right? As a tool to build advanced customer communication. Now, I also want to look here at something like that relates to data strategy and understanding how to best structure it from a very simple perspective. So I always love to tell clients about the 3 Ps. And to me, the 3 Ps are pretty fundamental. And we want to work through them bottom up. So we want to start with people, who's going to be using the data, process, how are they going to process the data for insights, and then providers, what tools do they need to get their job done. So Intercom, of course, is at the top in the providers. And ideally, by the time we work through 1 and 2, people and process, we have a pretty good idea of what we need at the top. I think a lot of companies go top to bottom. So they go providers to people. So by the time they get to people, it's a little tough. You now have a tool that maybe you bought either on an expensive contract or on a month-to-month, and now you're trying to make that fit and make everyone learn something that might not be the best fit. So this is something to consider as you think about building a stack or revamping a stack or adding a stack, and it can help you avoid a lot of long-term issues the companies run into. And that's it for Intercom. Again, another fantastic tool, very dominant player, and just a really solid choice on what they have done so far and what they offer really across the board. If you have any questions, post them in the comment below. I'll do my best to answer them. You can also make sure to like and subscribe. There'll be links for that somewhere around this video. As I mentioned before, my name is Ruben. Talk soon.